All right.
This is always fun.
Good deal.
All right. Let's see if that works. We may have to sit really tight.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. And I always forget when we do the live on my camera that it's vertical for some reason. So we will get rolling here. I do have a couple of things here that we're going to do today. We're going to go through the review for the AE 1700, which I think what I'll do is I'll move this table of knives over here. I'm going to get closer to the camera to start with, and then bring in my friend Bob. And we're going to squeeze in tight on a narrow, tall screen. But the AE 1700 is a watch that I got a couple of months ago. And I'll tell you what, this watch is a good one. Now, the model before this, the AE 1500, is one of the most legible, value-packed watches that Casio makes. That's a non-G-Shock that is out there. It gets a lot of attention. There's all kinds of different colors that you can get the watch in. But the AE 1700, as you can see, has a much more dive watch look to it. All right, it has a bezel, and the bezel is actually a bi-directional friction bezel. There's no clicks on here like you'd see on a dive watch. Sometimes you'll have a 120 click bezel. And for good reasons, because if you're diving with it, you want it to stay in place, where a friction bezel may not necessarily stay in place as you go underwater with it. But it has that classic AE 1500 large dial display, highly legible, very easy to read watch. Now, this is not going to be a complete review on this watch. I'm going to do a full review later on. I know Jim Kincaid, I think he's done a full review on this watch as well. And I got to say right up front, I think this watch is definitely worth the money. I just love the looks of this watch. All the features on here are very similar to the AE 1500. And even the light, which has the dual emitters at the bottom, extremely bright light in the darkness. And for me, you know, if you wake up like I do sometimes, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 2 a.m., having a watch that has good illumination or good lume, you know, the phosphorescent type lume, is really helpful for me, because you get to use the watch a lot longer during the day. You get to see what time it is at various points during the day when it's dark out, or in a dark room, in a dark house, that kind of thing. So for me, everything's in there. You have the stopwatch, timer, alarm, and you have multiple alarms. And then you also have the dual time zone, which I prefer the dual time zone because I can just set it the way I want it on there. The one thing about this that I don't quite understand is the bezel. And I don't know if I'm missing something obvious here, but why would you put a timing bezel on a digital watch that doesn't have any hands? So with a typical timing bezel on a dive watch, you'll have the ability to use the minute hand or the hour hand to keep track of elapsed time. But you don't have a set of hands on here. You have a digital display. And so using the timing bezel becomes like a mental exercise. You almost have to imagine where the bezel, where the hands would be at this particular time. That's the way I see it. It just doesn't make sense to me as far as dual time. Like, you could do a dual time thing with a bezel like this too, because you can use the 10 minute, the 20 minute, the 30 minute marks as various points on a second, like a 24-hour dial. That's another mental exercise, but it does work if you want, but it still requires the handset. So for me, I don't understand why they put a timing bezel or a bezel on here at all, other than for the looks, let alone a bezel that can move. Like, what's the point of moving it if you don't have a handset that you can adjust the bezel to do some of the timing functions? So I don't understand that. But I do like the legibility. This is just a great classic Casio AE 1500. Now it's the AE 1700. The buttons on here are great. The strap fits great. Bob here, I'm gonna have him try it on because he has a massive wrist. I think his wrists are like 14 inches around. Maybe not quite that big. But anyway, I'll have him try it on just to see how big this watch strap is on a guy with large wrists. So I have of average to above average size wrists. So I have nothing really to complain about. With most watches almost always fit me. So, But anyway, as far as the overall take on this watch, I would definitely go out and get this. I think it's definitely worth the money. I think you're getting a much better looking watch than the AE 1500. It just has a little bit more stuff to it. But again, the timing bezel is practically speaking worthless. So any questions or comments, put those down below. Hola, everybody. I got to put my glasses on to read. This is long distance reading today. What do we got here? Oh, Emmanuel. Hey, good to see you guys. And let's see what else we got going on. Good. Good to see you all. So we're going to reset here. Bob's going to join us. We're going to put the table with all the knives on it. We're going to get to know Bob. Bob's a longtime friend of mine. And this conversation we're gonna have on knives, I think you guys are going to enjoy the story. Bob is huge on story and just where things come from in his life and putting things together, including this new business of his, which is knife making. So give us a second, we'll reorganize, and we're gonna get really close together. I again thought we could do this horizontally, but we're gonna do it vertically. So all right, here we go.
All right.
All right, Mr. B.
You want me to put that watch on?
Yeah, here. You want to try it?
All right. Yeah.
All right, here it goes. AE 1700. You got one.
On the last one.
He's on the last one.
But it is, I mean, it fits with on the last one there.
And you've got, like, do you have any idea how big your wrists are?
No.
I would say you're in the 10-inch range. I don't know. 9+ for sure.
Yeah.
Big wrist. So Jim Kincaid, you've got your challenge right in front of you here. Bob's got a huge wrist. So anyway, but it's as far as what it looks like on your wrist, proportionally speaking, I like the looks of it.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. No, it looks
like it fits the look of your.
Yeah. It doesn't look
your
funky.
Arm and everything. So
sometimes I have stuff that looks like it's a toy.
It's a toy, right? Yeah.
Or like I picked up some little kid's thing and stuck it on me. So it just
right on. All right.
So.
All right. So. Are we good?
Yeah, I'm right in the middle now, but that works. We can get you in here.
I'll get me in here.
We'll scoot.
All right. Well, should we get this table up here too?
Yeah.
All right, the table of wares. All righty. So, Mr. O'Boyle, let's start off with a little background.
Sure.
I mean, we have known. I came out to Montana in 2010.
Yeah.
I'll give the intro from my perspective getting out
Sure.
here, and then you can kind of like how we met and just we don't want to spend too much time on it because this is really about the knives and your deal here. But it's good to know the story between the two of us.
We get that personal story there. That
we might
touch.
hug later on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so 2010, I applied. I applied to be the administrator at Potomac. When I say administrator, it was like the superintendent and principal. And I contend they got the superintendent part for free. Bob was the chair of the school board at the time.
Yeah.
You were the chair the entire time I was there, except for I think 2 months, right when I left.
Yeah, yeah.
But Bob was the board chair, and I got to know Bob pretty quick. You invited me over for dinner several times with your family, and I was grateful for that because I was going through a big life change myself at the time. And so I don't know, man, we just hit it off. We did some really cool things at Potomac School in Potomac, Montana. By the way, we're in Potomac, Montana as well. And this is a place just east of Missoula, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes east of Missoula.
It's 35 miles from
But
Missoula.
So in Montana, you can drive a little faster. So.
Yeah.
So we're in western Montana in the Rocky Mountains and east of Missoula. And in a little town called Potomac, which is unincorporated, but it's just a great place. When I came out here, I remember thinking the first few months I was like, this is such a beautiful place. And then I realized like, this is a blessing to be out here. Like it really is a special place. And just all the stuff that's here, quietness, resources, good people, and you're not too far away from Missoula either.
Right.
So if you need to get some things, like you're near a town that has, I say town, 70,000 people. So, or 80,000, whatever it is now. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think last time I saw it was over 90 now.
Oh, it's over 90?
It's really grown.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure. I'm not a...
Yeah. So that's how we met. And we, like I said, we did some cool stuff here at Potomac.
Yeah.
As far as like getting things arranged for kids and for families, keeping them at the center of the picture. And it really worked. So I think that was good. But anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that, that is one of the things that was kind of fun in working together, and we did hit it off. I lived out here in Potomac since 1998. I grew up in Montana and over in Great Falls, but my family was all from Butte, so that was always kind of home. So we'd go back and forth and stuff. But settled here, and it's been great. I love this community. I love the stuff, and the stuff that we were able to do um, was really fun. One of the things that I really enjoyed, that I thought was really special that we did, was, like you said, it was always preparing the kids for their future.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't going, well, this is how I learned, and this is how, there was a real emphasis on looking at preparing kids for the world that they were going to grow up in. And I think that that was something that was really special. And we did some innovative stuff. You did some really innovative stuff that we were able to do with, we moved to a 4-day school week. We had a 5th-day program when people were uncertain. Well, what is this going to mean to my family dynamic and stuff? We were able to set up a 5th-day program that there was a good group of kids that really thrived in that program, and really it meant a lot to them, and that was really special. And got to do some real hands-on stuff. Taking that learning out of the classroom and doing something, building stuff, making stuff, being able to be silly and have fun within the time frame of the
And this is going to segue into the knife thing here real quick. But one of the things I remember really appreciating and knowing when I came from Minnesota out to Montana, it was, if I keep things interesting for me, then it starts off on the right foot being interesting for students, generally speaking. And it sounds like, well, you're just doing the things that you want to do. No, I would take the students, we would take the students' ideas, and we would find things that were interesting between the two groups, the staff and the students. And then we would go with it. And the connections that we made with kids and the motivation that surfaced as a result of that was phenomenal. We had a group of, was it 4 girls that were 8th graders that decided to do their freshman year math over the summer. And you think about something like that, like how do you get students to do that? Well, we made it real for them because we connected, like, what do you guys want? And we'll try to match that up. And then on our side, it's like, how do we make this work so that we don't become overwhelmed either? And when you mesh those two things together, you get something that both parties absolutely loved. And that's one of the things with education. I contend we don't really know what students know until we start meeting their needs at their level. And then they'll start showing us what they know. And so anyway, that's my little pitch there. But when it comes to knives and doing this, you've experienced some changes in your life, but what I'm seeing here, and we'll eventually get into this, but this is kind of the theme, is like you're matching a passion that you have with the interests that people share with you, and you mesh those two things together.
Yeah.
Which keeps you interested in the game.
Absolutely.
And then the customer gets something that is obviously passionately made by you, and it meets the design features and things that they were looking forward to in the knife making thing. So kind of start from the beginning, like, how did you even, like, you're obviously interested in knives.
Yeah.
How did that start? Like, what's the background, like, as far as knives, just being interested in knives themselves?
Well, growing up in Montana, I grew up hunting and fishing from the time that I shot my first deer when I was 7. And I think the statute of limitations might be over. Anyways, my dad really gave me a lot of responsibility, and like, when I was 7, and he said, okay, I'm gonna show you how to dress this first one. The rest are up to you. And so after that, he would have a doe tag or an extra tag or whatever, and let me fill them till I was old enough, and then it was off to the races. And we would do everything from, of course, field dress and all that, but we would butcher everything ourselves, and it was just really a big part. Cooking was a big part of everything. You mentioned coming over for dinner. That was a big thing that in my family, we would do a lot of dinners and stuff, and there was an importance on putting together that meal and the act of breaking bread together. There's something sacred there, you know. I'm going to nourish you, you're going to nourish me, you know, not only with our food but our company and our conversation and our time together. And so that type of thing has always been a part of my life, and knives are a part of all that. You know, they're a tool that it can be, everybody uses. Just about everybody uses knives. Um, Not little babies. Don't give a little baby a knife because they can't use it. When I say everybody, you have to be a little bigger. But I mean, I even remember when we were kids. My cousin Sammy over in Butte, we always had pocket knives.
Mm-hmm.
One of our favorite things to do
Mm-hmm.
would be to my grandpa and grandma lived up in Centerville, up on the hill in Butte. Sammy lived just a little ways down in what's called Corktown, there, just by the Goodwill Tavern. Um, but we would walk downtown Butte, which is actually referred to as uptown, but we'd go down from the hill there. Um, we go to Whiteheads. We do little odd jobs. We'd, you know, work for our cousin, you know, cleaning up a house or going and mowing a lawn or going and doing whatever to make a few bucks. And then a lot of times we go down to Whiteheads, that was a knife shop, and we go through and pick, oh yeah, and this and that. And, you know,
Yeah.
I remember one of our cousins came from Kentucky, Sean. And Sean came over and we were doing stuff, and we always were doing stuff with knives. And he was like, "You boys have knives? You're crazy. You know, this is just wild." You know, for him, it was really an unusual thing, but for us, it was just something everybody carried around. A knife, you know, was just a thing.
That's the question I had in my head, is like, Montana is even more country than Minnesota was, the country parts of Minnesota anyway. Like, did kids in your era, your time, always have a knife in their pocket, or generally almost have a knife in their pocket?
Yeah.
Like, just, did you bring it to school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had pocket knives at school. It wasn't anything. I mean, there was a one crazy junior high incident where some crazy stuff happened, but it wasn't. I wasn't doing the crazy stuff. Happened on the school bus. It was nuts. But there weren't a lot of, you know, violence or anything with knives at school, and there was nobody. I mean, it was just a different time.
Yeah,
you know,
it was. Yep.
and we didn't even think we weren't. I don't remember anybody threatening or messing or anything like that. You know, it was just something you had. What if you need to open something?
It was like a pencil.
Yeah, exactly.
It was normal.
Yeah. The one thing though that was fun about the knife was you got to be a little more personal with that.
Yeah.
There got to be a little, you know, I remember I found a buck knife one time at Holter Lake near Helena, Montana.
Oh, yeah.
There, I found a little buck knife in the lake, and I loved that one. It was just a little tiny one. My grandfather gave me a Booker knife. He called them a tree knife because their symbol was a tree. And I carried that around.
Did you have a case knife?
Yeah.
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 Classic case.
Yep. Yeah. And so I had a lot of those knives. I remember getting a stainless steel Spyderco knife when they came out, you know, with the serrated edge on it and stuff. And
so when a teacher in the classroom was like, "Can somebody help open this box?" You had like 5 guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was
normal. It was like, yeah,
the teacher would have had a knife too.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't it was just something that
kids weren't asking the teacher to cut something open because they would just do it themselves.
Yeah. And it wasn't. Yeah, and it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a thing. I mean, yeah, it was a whole different era. There was kids, you'd go out in high school, kids would have gun racks and they'd go hunting after school and things like that. It was just part of the.
I've met a couple of people who've told me this story in different ways in Minnesota. They're from northern Minnesota, and they would they'd stand at the bus stop with their shotgun, and they get on the bus, leave the shotgun, it's unloaded, leave the shotgun on the bus, and then when they would get their ride home on the bus, they'd take their shotgun and they'd have their shells in a backpack or whatever, and they'd load up their shotgun and they'd go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And the bus driver would drop them off maybe a little slightly different spot for them to go bird hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And in Minnesota, it was like upland bird, like grouse, rough grouse, and that stuff like that. But you hear about that, and it's like kids are bringing a shotgun. Like these are high school kids, by the way,
Right,
they're not like
right.
elementary kids, high school kids. But they bring a shotgun to the bus stop, leave it with the bus driver on the bus, you know, and it just that's the way it was. Like it was normal.
Yeah.
What kind of knives did you gravitate towards in your junior high and high school years? Did you start to particularize your interests towards certain knives
Well,
or brands?
I had a set that my dad gave me that somebody gave him the day I was born. It was a set of Gerber knives. There was 2 of them together that I loved, and I had those. A former roommate stole those, and it kind of broke my heart. But those were some of my favorite knives. I had I think I was in high school still. I got a Bill Moran Spyderco Skinner, and I really liked that knife. It was VG10 stainless. It was really nice. It was really high quality, really nice knife, and I love that knife. Still have that knife, and that was one I really loved a lot. Yeah, and I've had different ones over the years that I use at different times, but and I pocket knives a lot of times. I'll carry Benchmade knives. I've had good luck with those. I've got a few different ones of those and stuff. So.
You got me into my first Benchmade when I came out here. It's an assist. What is it? Emissary? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's the assisted opening, and I love that knife. I have it over there in the box.
Yeah.
I brought my collection with me for you to take a look at. But that was something that I didn't own a lot of knives. I always loved knives though. Like I just needed a couple. Same thing with watches. You know, what am I wearing today? It's the Casio GD 350, by the way. Casio fans out there. Like you don't, you just got to flex a little bit while you're doing it.
Yeah.
There you go. I didn't realize how many options there were out there, just like with watches. When I got hooked into actually doing watch reviews, the world just opened up to me and like, wow, there's so much more there than I ever paid attention to.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happened with knives. And you kind of opened that door for me a little bit with the Benchmade.
Yeah.
And I was like, then I went to the Sportsman's Warehouse or whatever it was, and I'm looking at the big display of knives. And it's like, now I'm understanding like some of the things that are involved with each knife. And I think that's what happens when you start to understand what goes into a knife. The doors open wider because the variations mean something, you know? And, so we'll get to that part, like with customers and orders, things like that. But so you had this experience with knives, junior high and high school. Any particular like blade shapes that you prefer, like maybe for hunting or just utility carry in your pocket kind of a thing? Or you have any shapes that you like?
It depends on what I'm doing. Sorry. I can relax.
I just totally mimicked you there for a second.
I tend to like a wee bit smaller blade than some folks. Some folks like a really big blade for hunting and stuff. And God bless them, if that works for you, that's what you use, you know, I mean, whatever. And if you had just one knife to do all things, something like that would be the way to go. A bigger knife that you could do butchering and you could do all that stuff. Strictly for hunting, I do like a little bit smaller knife. Something like this type of knife is a nice size for me. You can gut everything with that. You can do a lot of stuff with that.
It's got a belly to it too, which I like.
Yeah. That one's got a nice belly to it. It's got a little bit of a drop to it. It's kind of a fun one. I've had a lot like that I enjoy. Aesthetically, I really like the sax point blades, kind of like this. It's a little different than a lot of people see. You know, this isn't the one that you see at a lot of markets and this type of stuff and that. And so I do kind of like that. You see that with a lot of old Viking and Celtic and Saxon
If you do a
era.
lot of draw cuts, like where you're cutting like on a cutting board or whatever, that's the best tip to have.
Yeah.
Really, you get the most leverage into the tip
Mm-hmm.
versus something with a belly.
Yep. And I've had people order kitchen knives that they want that.
Yeah,
They're like, I want that.
Right.
That's exactly what I want.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something
That would be an interesting, because you don't see that on a lot of kitchen sets.
No. You
have a
see
real
it. You see
straight blade.
some different things on. There's some Asian knives that will have a squared tip to it that kind of have a similar ability to it, but they don't have that angled drop like these ones do. But
True. Man,
yeah.
even sitting here. Yeah, you've got different sizes. Oh, man, I never saw this one. Did you bring this one out
I don't know.
when I got here?
It's been sitting there.
I like the size of this one.
Yeah, that's kind of a good size knife. It's a fun one.
Hold that
We
up there.
could, that one's a Damascus one that I made. I made the Damascus for that. It's I need to do some. It's not finished, so I need to clean it up and do some stuff. That's a twist pattern Damascus with that one.
Oh, okay. So you take the steel in your.
Yeah, so you take that one is I took 6 layers of steel, or no, I took 6 layers of alternating types of steel, 1095 and 15N20. They have some similar properties, which allows them to work really well together.
Yeah.
But they also have some different things that, in terms of how they take acid and staining, that make them really nice contrast for
Okay.
for doing Damascus. I'm going to turn my heater off, so
All right.
it'll
Go
be
for it.
quieter.
Yeah. Now, the Damascus steel, while you're doing that, I don't have a knife with Damascus. And, oh man, I like that. I'm going to put my glasses over here. That is a cool pattern. I don't know if I get this on the camera.
Yeah, and so there's a couple Damascus ones here. So that involved taking 6 layers of this alternating types of steel, 1095 and 15N20, and forge welding them together, folding it in half, getting 12 layers, and then folding it one more time and getting 24 layers. So when I say fold it, you cut it, clean it, put them back together, forge weld it again. So then you got 24 layers of steel that's alternating types. And so as you clean it up and stuff and polish it and soak it up, I'll do I need to do some cleaning and stuff on that, but it gives a really dramatic look to it that is really nice, where parts of it will be shinier and parts of it will be darker. This one is another one. This is a ladder pattern Damascus that
Check this out.
yeah, so that one
Wow.
is a ladder pattern Damascus that that's my Wu-Tang knife. It has the Wu-Tang
That is beautiful.
pin in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so that one's kind of fun, and it's really nice. That one I did actually buy the Damascus. I make Damascus too. This one I wanted particular because it is kind of a Damascus Samurai blend, which is Samurai is 3 layers typically. So you have these 2 ladder pattern Damascus steels on the outside, and then there's a stainless VG10 core in the middle of that. And so those 2 ladder pattern Damascus are on either side, and then you have this nice hard stainless in the middle, and it comes out beautiful. Wow. They look really, really nice. I really like the looks of that knife. But yeah, and with this one again, so once I had all those layers, then take and heat it up and, like you said, twisted it, and then pound it
Yeah, I've
flat
seen guys
again.
on cable shows grab that steel rod and they'll twist it, and
Yeah.
it's really cool the effect that you get in the steel when you start pounding it out.
Yep. Yep. And that's one of the cool things. You can get some really interesting patterns. You can get some different stuff.
So you've got knives in your past, your history
Mhm.
as a kid, as an adult, family man, dad, worker. You're an archaeologist
Mhm.
by training, and you do a lot of work with tribes in Montana and the federal government, like back and forth, kind of as that liaison piece. So you're always like, you've got to have some go-to knives, like under those certain circumstances. Like, do you have any designs or favorite sizes for like going out in the field as a archaeologist,
Mm.
or like any particular, like, you're always thinking, for me it's pocketability. Like, I
Mhm.
don't want to clutter my pockets up because I do carry a lot of stuff in my pockets.
Yeah.
By the way, we could do a pocket check, but maybe you don't have anything in your pockets.
I don't think I do right now.
Okay, we won't do that. I should have told you that before I came out here. But that's one of the things I think about. So what do you think about, like, when you're going out to do archaeology work, when you're going out to do
Mhm.
just going to town for whatever? Do you have different knives for those kinds of circumstances?
Yeah, I have. I carry a lot of just regular pocket knives and stuff that just like we were talking about the Benchmade or whatever. And I do want to make some, like, I actually think something like this as an everyday carry would be a really nice little knife. Building a sheath, I build some sheaths with some clips on them that you could clip onto your belt or your pocket or whatever.
You got me into neck knives.
Yeah, yeah,
Where you have the lanyard that
Yeah.
goes around your neck, and and the interesting thing is like, I can grab that knife with either hand. It's
yeah,
not buried in a pocket. The one thing where it makes me nervous a little bit is just the knife or the lanyard catching on things as I lean over to do something. But
yeah.
that's easy. Like, you can tuck it in your shirt or whatever. But neck knives that's an
Yeah.
underappreciated knife carry option. Like,
It-
just put it around your neck and pull it out when you need it. And it's usually a small knife. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking like maybe a little bit longer than your finger
Yeah.
as far as overall length.
It's funny because I gave one of those to somebody that I made, and this Christmas I had forgot I even gave it to him. I gave it to him several years ago, and this Christmas he ordered 4 knives from me, and I went over and delivered. He ordered one for himself and then one for each of his sons. And when I got there and delivering them and everything, he showed me that knife, that neck knife that I made him, and he still carries it around all the time.
Oh, I get on a neck knife binge where I'll wear a neck knife around my neck for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, I can't wear it for some day, and I lose track of doing it again.
Yeah.
It is such a great way to carry a knife because it's out of your pocket, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Especially when you have an easy retention.
Yeah.
Montana Americana
Yeah.
was the knife that you showed me, and I went and got 2. I got one for my second oldest son, Noah, and I got one for myself. Fantastic little design. And I remember you showing me that knife. It was just this little itty bitty thing. It's like, Bob, you have massive hands. I don't have small hands, but it's like, there's not much to grab. But that's the point.
Right. Right.
Like, that really is what a neck knife is all about. It's a really small knife,
Yeah.
but it's a fixed blade too.
Yeah.
So you can really crank on it if you need to. But I don't know, that's one thing that you showed me that I latched on to, are neck knives. Now I've got 2 of them that I really like, and I showed you one last night when we were texting back and forth. But Bob's about an hour and a half away from where I live.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else as far as like what you would have with you, fixed blade, folding?
Well, one of them that I like doing for folks, and a lot of people like these, are like a camp knife.
Mhm.
A bigger, the one that of yours is the closest to that we have
Let's
here.
hold this sucker up there.
Yeah.
There's a special order, like what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, at least 3 years ago.
I love the handle. I love the heft. This is a heavy. How thick is this? 1/4 inch?
Yeah, that one's a really thick. This is a W1 steel, really tough steel, good stuff. Put a little bit of a fancy pattern on that with a mustard patina to give it a particular look and stuff. But yeah, knives of that size, um, and a lot of them like the that kind of sack shaped blade. Some people like a more, yeah. Some people like a tip on it like this, different lengths and stuff. But those bigger knives like that, a lot of times are people like, because you can go out camping, you can go chop wood with that.
Oh yeah.
You can go beat on you could take you know a little log, and you can take a mallet that through that if you needed.
Yeah. Just to take a look at the thickness through the handle. Now, this, if I remember right, this is more of a Nessmuk type design, which is a little bit like a Bowie without the sharp tip at the very end.
Yeah.
And that's a design from North America, the natives of North America.
Yeah.
And much like it has a belly on it, so it's used for skinning. But this is a heavy duty one that I don't know, for whatever reason, I was like, man, give me a heavy duty Nessmuk style. And I think I said Viking, like go Scandinavian with it a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's got a little Scandinavian flavor to it as well, because that's my dad's side anyway. My mom's side as well, but Scandinavian, Swedish, Norwegian, that whole thing. So
yeah. And a lot of times those knives, and that's the thing, when we go through this process with these knives, they're tough. They're really tough. I was working on a knife, a kitchen knife. This was a thin knife. This was a knife that was this thick. This was a real thin knife, maybe not even an eighth of an inch thick. And I was sharpening it. I had hardened it and everything, and I was just putting the edge on it, and something caught. Blah! And I was like, oh no. And it is, I've got plenty of scars and little things with this that you always end up doing stuff, but I couldn't tell what happened. But something grabbed and hit really hard with it. And I picked up the knife and I'm looking, and I can't even tell what happened. I couldn't see anything. And I was like, well, I don't know what. So I went back to work on it. And I go down in grits. I have a belt sander that I use, and I get finer and finer. When I changed the belt, I noticed that knife had hit the wheel of that belt sander.
Huh.
And it was a steel, like a W1 or W2 tool steel wheel, and it cut a chunk out of that wheel.
Really?
So it was pretty incredible. I was like, we got the heat treat.
The hardness is good.
The heat treat on that was just right, because it didn't damage the knife at all. So it was hard, but it took a chunk out of that. So I mean, it's stuff like that, and it wasn't a thick knife. It wasn't a big, heavy. And so that's one of those things where when you go through this process, you do it right, you get something that's so different than what you get just from
walk through the process in kind of, without getting too technical, but just like you get an order, it comes in, and where do you go from there?
Yeah. So
how about the order? Let's talk about the order. Maybe that's the first step. Is like, when someone contacts you, what's the framework of getting what's in their mind to you so you can do it?
I talk to them a lot. I say, some people want just a custom knife for somebody. I want to give somebody a custom knife. And so I said, well, what are they doing with it? What do you want them to do? What do you, and we go through some of that. What are some of the things they like? What are some of the things they enjoy? What are, we go through different things and we talk about different ideas and stuff. I show them pictures. We have a social media. There's a lot of the knives on there. Some knives people, I don't share all of them, because some people don't want, it's their thing. So they kind of just want to keep it. So that I don't share all of them that we make, but so we go through and I say, let's make what you want. Sometimes they have something really specific in mind. Sometimes they have loose ideas. Well, I really like how this one looked. Okay, well, what do you like about this? What do you like about that? And we'll go through and people can draw out stuff. You know, I've had people draw out little things. I've had people send me pictures. Well, I want a knife like this, but I want this type of handle, and I want.
That's what I did. I wanted a specific handle. I
Yeah.
love this handle, the design of it. I love the, what is it? Is this a plastic acrylic? The top?
So that's a G10 micarta top, the black there.
Yeah.
It has brass spacers on it. So right next to the blade, there's brass, or all along the tang of the knife. There's, and then the bottom of it is ironwood, I believe, if I remember
Beautiful.
right.
I love the handle on this knife.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things I talked to you about, was the
Yeah.
handle, and then the overall kind of like a Scandinavian Nessmuk type thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's the thing with everybody. And one of the things I'd love to do, you know, our kind of vision statement is strength, story, steel. And so part of that story, part of the thing we do is to say, okay, you want to order a knife. And we did this with yours. Okay, here's the chunk of steel. We're going to build this into your knife. And I give them updates as the process is going on.
I remember
You know,
that.
here's the, you know, I'll be out there pounding on, you know, send little videos of that. Said, you know, hey, here we're cleaning this up a little bit. There's a, you know, or whatever we need to do. But each stage, I kind of take people through and show them where their knife's at. And so their part, they can give feedback. I have had people, I had a guy who sent me a thing, I want a knife like this, but I want this kind of handle. Okay. So I went through and designed, and I cut it out, and I pounded it and shaped it and everything. And I sent it to him. And he said, oh, well, I just was sending you that for a reference of how long of a knife I wanted. I actually wanted the tip like this other one that you made. I said, okay. So having him part of that process, and it worked out fine because somebody else bought that knife. I didn't even get a chance to post it on our social media, and somebody bought it like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But take people through the whole process. So you see from, we shape it, you know, from forging it by hand, you know, with the putting it in the forge, taking the anvil and the hammer and making it, grinding and shaping it like that. We go through different processes too with the steel to make sure that it's tough. One of the things that I do is we normalize these knives, and is what that, after you pound on it and grind on it and do all this stuff, it puts stress and heat in different places, and so the normalizing process involves putting it into an oven. I have a heat treat oven that gets real precise temperatures that can get really high. I think it gets up to 2,700 degrees, so plenty warm in there.
Can light a match with that oven.
You can, but you take that and like with the 1095, I'll take it up to 1,600 degrees, and then take it out and cool it in the air fairly quickly. And then I'll take it up to 1,550 degrees. I do the same thing, cool it rather quickly, let it cool down, and then do that one more time at 1,500 degrees and let it cool down. And is what that does is it takes the grain inside that steel, it makes it tighter and smaller. So if you did a lot of times in the forge, people overheat knives. You're beating on a knife. You do different stuff. The carbon will come out of the knife that you get. Stresses and different things. Okay. And so the grain structure, particularly if it cools slow or fast, it can make a big difference in how that grain grows inside of the steel itself. So try and really get that so it's tight, and then heat treat it, which again, we use the heat treat oven to get, like with these 1095 knives, take them up to 1,500 degrees and let them sit at that temperature for 15 minutes. Now, that's one of the nice things about that oven over like a forge. If you watch
Oh
on a
yeah.
lot of like
Yep.
cable shows and stuff,
Yep. Yep.
they'll be looking and they'll say, well, it looks like it's about right. It
Yeah.
looks like it's, and that's, you can do that. And
And
that,
they get the temperature there for a moment.
right,
If they leave it in there, it gets hotter. If they
right,
take it out and miss that point, they never got hot enough. But you're using an oven.
right,
So it's a constant application of energy into the knife.
right.
Okay.
So you can leave it sit at that. It's like cooking sous vide versus cooking on an oven.
Right.
You're taking it to, it's not going to get hotter than that oven is.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So we take it,
Interesting.
and that really helps getting consistency. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of, did this work, did this not work. So you get that consistency and stuff from the knives that way. But after it soaks in there, take it out into, like for the 1095, we use Parks 50 quenching oil, which is a special oil that different oils will do different stuff to the blade. You want to cool the blade down quickly, but not too quickly. You have some people use, there's sometimes people use water, like this W1 steel for that one used water for that. That's a water steel. Still warm up the water, because if you don't warm it up, like with these, I'll warm up the oil to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And I do that because otherwise, when that red hot steel goes in there, it can make air pockets around your blade, so it won't cool consistently or evenly.
Okay.
So if it's warmer, it isn't quite as much of a shock.
Okay.
That shock can add stresses and bends. You can get
really,
yeah, it can do a lot of different stuff, but it can also cause it not to cool quick enough,
so it acts as an insulator.
Yeah.
Because it's not contacting the oil as well as it should because of basically the steam or the air that's okay.
Right. That energy coming out creates a pocket around it, so it doesn't cool as quick. So you heat that up, so that kind of offsets it. So when you put that in there at that temperature, and that it gives it that right kind of pocket to make sure that you get a nice hardness.
Yeah. So now, okay. So you got the hardness down. When do you sharpen it after that? I'm assuming after you've hardened the steel.
Well, there's still steps after that.
Oh, okay.
Because after you harden it,
yeah.
Then we temper it.
Okay.
Tempering involves heating it to. It depends on what the application of the knife's going to be, but it takes some of that tension out from heating it so much. So, like you look at a lot of Japanese kitchen knives.
Oh yeah.
They're great. They get real sharp. They're hard, but they're brittle. You get chips along the edge because they're so brittle. It's like obsidian. It's really hard, but it's brittle. And so one of the things we'll do is take that blade right after we heat treat it, put it in the toaster oven actually at like 400 degrees for 2 hours, and then just let it cool at that. And that takes some of that extra tension out of like the knife, so it softens it just a touch. And that's a really important step to do. But it a lot of times I'll do that a couple times with each knife. Like it'll go through a couple of those cycles too.
Okay.
And then you move on to the sharpening. Then I get them into close to sharp, close to where they're going to need to be. And then I add the scales to it, the handles. All these ones are what are called through tangs. So the steel runs all the way through the bottom of the knife. These also have pins through each of them. So there's a mechanical hold in there. This knife has 3 of them. That kind of pops a little better too, because you can see the contrast with it. But that way, the epoxy that I use is a real slow. It's called G-Flex. It's a real slow curing, real strong epoxy.
Sure.
To fully cure takes 48 hours.
Really?
So it's a real slow process. And that was kind of one of the things I was running into at Christmas. Everybody's rushing and pushing, and I'm like, I
takes
want
2 days just for the epoxy to
right.
dry.
I want to make sure that they get
Yeah,
the right thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So back to the sharpening. I want to finish
mhm.
the blade and then get into the handles for a minute.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when it comes to the sharpening process,
Mhm.
do you have the edge roughly in place when you're doing all the tempering and the hardening and all that?
Yeah, but it's not fully there.
Right.
You don't get it all the way because that would then you're dealing with a potential issues with overheating that very
Yeah, the edge
edge.
is really thin at the very edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so you're done with the tempering. Now you're ready to sharpen. What's the sharpening process for you?
So I have a belt sander. Um, right at the get go, I'm marking out the center line on that knife to get an even
Yeah.
grind on that. I have jigs that I can put on it to make sure it stays even like that. Um, and I usually put like a 15-degree kind of slope going into the edge. And I go from, uh, if I'm taking off a lot of material, which I don't, if they're already at that point, I'm not, but I'll take like 80, 100, 120, 200, 400, 800, 1200 grit belts and make sure and really polish
Work it
and
through that.
get that down real nice and real smooth.
Do you do a lot of compound grinds, or you kind of keep it pretty simple?
I keep it pretty simple.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
really do. It depends on what people are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always kind of try and keep the end user in mind. What are they going to do with this
Right.
knife? What are they going to need? Are they going to be skinning an elk? Are they going to be chopping a deer?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are they going to
Mm-hmm.
be chopping through bones? Are they going to be butchering? Are they going to use this as a kitchen knife? You know, all those things kind of ask for some different stuff, and so I try and make sure and put the edge that will be most useful for them on
Mm-hmm.
that blade that'll last and be tough and work. And I always tell them, if you're having problems, you just let me know and we'll get it
Mm-hmm.
situated because we can change that edge geometry if we need to.
So now this is what I like. I'm gonna get to the handles. I've been like chomping at the bit in my mind to get to the
Yeah.
handles because you have, and this is something that is an observation that I've seen of what you have as far as guns, handguns in particular. You like bird head
Mhm.
grips.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these knives, and
Mhm.
you can see the bird head type grip. And I go
Yeah.
back to like, the knife maker has a personality, and then I get to, okay, here's another one. Okay, that's an
Mhm.
awesome one. And then I get to this one, and this is not a bird's head grip. This has a flare at the bottom. It's almost a pummel
Mhm.
type thing. And then like you do it all.
Mhm.
Do you have like, is this something that customers ask for, like the bird's head type grip? Is this that popular? And I was just, until I met you, when it came to handguns, I was like, bird's head grip. I never thought of that until I started shooting some of the pistols you had.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I really like a revolver with a bird's head grip.
Yeah. Part of that comes from, again, my proportions.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of guns don't fit my hands. They're
Yeah.
too little. And so when I take a knife, even a small knife like this, that's comfortable in my hand.
There's a little bulb at the end for you.
Isn't digging into anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It fits in there and I can hold that anywhere and it's nice in my hand. That's one of the advantages. That's like that Knives Americana,
Yeah,
that Montana Americana. He has those rounded, and it's nice because a lot of times I don't have people here when somebody orders a knife. I sent a knife over to Poland this year. Well, that's pretty tough to get somebody's hand, let me see how big your hand is and this and that.
Yeah.
And their presents and their different things, surprises for people.
Right.
And so you don't always know. And so with some of these, like this is a bigger handle, but no matter what size people's hands are,
it's like
fit.
grabbing a rope with a knot at the end of the rope, but it's smoother than that.
Yeah.
Like you just have a hard time that that knife slipping through your hands. Now I've got some other knives, and even this one doesn't have quite the bird's head end to it, but it flares out on either side, which I really like how it flares out on either end or either side. But that's a grip that if you haven't tried a rounded end or a bird's head grip at the end of a knife or at the end of a revolver, it's phenomenal, because a revolver has so much muzzle flip, especially in the larger calibers. That's where that bird's head grip comes into play. It just never, it's like this ball at the end of the rope that it doesn't take a lot of effort to keep that ball from slipping through your hand. You know, the same thing with the knife. Like, it just doesn't take much effort to hold the knife firmly in your hand and not lose the knife slipping through your hand. So this is what I've been looking at. It's like, you know what? I got to say something about this, because I know how much of a fan you are for the bird's head grip for revolvers.
And that really is, because I mean, like, look, if I take this knife, for me too, there's not only the grip factor, but there's the comfort factor. If I have a knife that's sharp on the bottom or pointed or square, that's digging into my hand.
Yeah.
And every single one of us has different sized hands, so you don't know exactly. So if I'm not making it, if I'm not sitting here with you, that knife was made for you, for your hand. We worked on that to make sure you had the exact knife that you wanted for your hand. But these other ones, you know, there's a genericness to it, so that kind of lends itself to having a...
It does fit my hand perfectly.
Yeah, and that was the goal with that one. That really was. See, if I hold that knife, it's a lot, you know, I still have a lot of hand on the end of that. You know,
it's a girly handle.
It just is.
It's a little girly man.
It's a little small for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say it's a little small. Then you get small hands.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just one of those deals where that rounded kind of bird's head type grip gives a lot of opportunity for different sized hands.
It's an amazing design feature. And I love it, because the Montana Americana knives I have 3 of them. I have a mini Nessmuck, which is my favorite field dressing knife. And I think the overall length on it's probably 6 inches maybe. So it's a good sized fixed blade. And I forget who's the guy that made those knives. Remember his name? Anyway, he made it out of tool steel. I think it was out of old lumber mill blades, sawmill blades. And anyway, so there's that. And then I had the neck knife, and I had one more, or maybe I just had 2. But it was the handle that got to me overall. It's like, this handle is so, even that neck knife, you know, it's small. Like, even this knife is small in my hand, but because that bulb is in there, at least these 2 fingers can grip that knife in such a way that it's just not going to come through. It's not going to slide through. So I don't know, that's another piece that you showed me through the collection that you've had over the years that I really liked.
And the other thing that I've done is add this little finger well in there, which I don't do it on all of them.
It's like Fort Knox.
But it really, you can get your hand in different ways. A lot of times if you're skinning, that's the way I like to skin. And so it fits nice where you can really get control of a blade in a lot of different ways. It gives you a lot of options when you're working with a knife. And so I like that part of it too. And some people don't like that, don't want that. And I'll build it however they want.
Yeah. So give us a story, or give us a few examples of things that have come in that you're able to do that match up what you're doing in the forge and with the designing of handles and pinning and all that, versus what the customer comes in like, hey, I want this. Like, so what are some of the stories that you get out of this? Because that's the other part of your
right. No, and that's it. That's sharing the story with the person as they're making it, but then having them be able to have that story of their knife and where it goes. So I'll tell the story of the knife that went to Poland, because that was really a cool one. I'm going to do a post on this later. A friend of mine over there who I met through Instagram and stuff, wanted to order a knife for their significant other. So we worked on it and looked at different ideas. And one of the things that said was, well, I really like the the craters. Some different pictures. She's like, I really like the craters. It was the hammer marks. Some of the knives
Oh.
have hammer marks on them, and some people really like that aesthetic. And so I said, sure, we can do that. And she was like, and this and that, and is what I wanted. And so we went through and we that one I made out of 5160 spring steel.
Mm.
It's a real tough, durable steel. Wanted to make a kind of nice long blade, something they go out hiking and spend time in the woods a lot. So I wanted a real nice kind of big, something you could chop branches with, something you could do a lot of different things. So we worked on the design, the shape of the blade. It was a real kind of classic. Like this one drops a little bit, here. This was just a real smooth kind of coming to a point. I mean, it had a bit of a belly coming up, but it was smooth there towards the tip. And I put, because over there so far away and stuff, I used bison horn for the scales on it, so it got a little bit of the American prairie with that. So it had bison scales on this knife. And when I told her that, I said, I was going through, she wasn't sure. She said, I don't want anything too flashy. Some people really like certain looks, and some people are like, I like it. I want something plain. I don't want it to jump out.
Is this the kind of tool marks that you're talking about?
So this is a little bit different thing.
Okay.
This is a little bit different, and I can tell you about that, but that's a little bit different.
But is that kind of the look that they were looking for?
They wanted the actual
tool
divots
in there. Okay.
Divots in. They wanted the hammer.
Okay, just so these
marks
guys can
in
see
it.
this.
Yeah, so that's more of a finish from the way that I heat treated it and then grinded and finished it.
Okay.
And that's a look that a lot of people really like
love that look.
too. Yeah, that one's really, really cool. I did some kitchen knives for some people who were Raiders fans, and man, they turned out really great. They had a black and gray and white handles on them, and we etched the little Raider symbol on them and stuff. But they had that finish on them, and it just looked so cool with a big kitchen knife, a big 2-inch wide chef's knife with that. Looked really, really fantastic.
Cool.
But anyways,
so this knife that's going to Poland, you've got some tool marks in it. What kind of handle did you put? You put the buffalo horn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So buffalo horn handles that I took, and
so how thick are buffalo horns? Like,
they're not super thick, but you use one for each side and take and polish, and it's cool because they kind of turn almost a gray. They're kind of dark, but they turn gray. There's streaks of some interesting colors that show up in those. But they're really interesting. They're a little bit of a pain to work with because they're not, some of these. Yeah, and they're not I mean, they're not even. They're not like these. These are this G10 micarta. This is a blank. These are just put on there. But you can see they're square. They're flat. Buffalo horns aren't necessarily square and flat. So getting all that lined up and getting it to where it sticks right, and making sure that everything is together right is really important. So that was a lot of fun though, because a lot of care went into that, but the payoff for it was it was fun. It was a whole process to send it to Poland. The shipping was incredibly expensive. She ended up having to pay custom fees and stuff when it got there, but so excited when it got there. It got there a week or so before Christmas, and she was writing me and said, I'm so excited. She said, I'm having a hard time not giving it to him early because it's so neat and so fun. And that was one thing that I've heard from a lot of people. They were just like, this is such an exciting thing to give somebody.
Yeah.
Because it is, there's nothing here that's stamped out. There's no patterns. There's no, I'll take what you want and say, okay, well, let's figure this out. And then we'll build that. Each one is one of one. I can make something, I've had people say, well, I like this knife. They'll send me a picture of a knife that you made. I want one like this. And I say, it can be like that, but it'll be similar, but it's not the same. Even one person wanted 4 knives. He wanted one for him and each of his sons. So I told him, I'm like, I'll make them. They'll be very, very similar, but they're each an individual. Yeah. There's not these aren't laser cut,
Sure.
out of, or water jet cut out of a piece of steel. And, it's the hammer and the,
What was the reaction of the guy, husband, was it? Or,
yeah.
what was his reaction?
He was so excited. It was, I guess when he got it, he was just enthralled with it. She said when they went to bed that night, he sat it out next to the bed. She said it was like a kid. And she was like, this is such a big knife. She goes, this is like a sword. And she goes, he was like set it there so I could see it. And she sent me videos where they went out walking, he's chopping stuff with it and stuff. And so it's just really kind of special to be able to see that kind of excitement of something you build. And that, I've got several of those back, where you'll build something and you go through and you do, and then you hear just such wonderful feedback, and you're part of this story because this is like that knife is going to be passed down in that family.
Yeah.
They have the story of this has these buffalo horns from Montana, the other side of the world.
That's right.
And went through, and she said, I shared all the videos, because I was taking her through the process, sharing all that type of stuff and everything. And she said, I shared all that with my, and he got to see all the behind the scenes as we were going through and making this, and I take and, I'll chop on a log with it and, and then slice some paper or do whatever to show them where it's at and stuff. And so they get this thing, and then they have that kind of record too of where it came from. And then they get to take it and go. And it's been,
and these are user knives, right? Like, these aren't what, safe queens or whatever you would call it, display queens, whatever you put it up on. Like they're supposed
ivory
to be
tower.
used.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's something. I mean, if somebody wants something that's a display piece, I mean, this one I have up on a stand and stuff, it's kind of silly, but I actually use this all the time. I use this to open my records. It's my record opening knife. And I have it. That's why I made this stand for it and stuff, because it sits there and everything. But
honest, honey, like I need a knife for all these different situations.
right.
Like all the records back here. When he talks about opening records, how many records estimate would you say are back here?
Well, back here, but these aren't all my records. I have 2 more.
Oh, I see. Way
cases back there, and another case down there, and one over there. So I have a lot of records. But I mean,
so this knife gets used a lot.
It gets used.
Okay.
It gets used, yeah. And boxes and stuff. That's my kind of sitting out. It's a fun one to display, and it's one that is just kind of nice.
It's a beautiful knife. I love the handle. Like a natural wood handle to me is one of the coolest things. The colors. I like the colors and things like that. You get laminates and things, just kind of cool stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about, when it comes to a good natural wood handle. Or I have another knife, and I got this in the 80s. Here, let me pull it out.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's called a Western, and it's a collector now. And it's not really expensive or anything like that, but it is a collector, and there's a market for it. And you could get these back in the day. I don't think you get them at Walmart, but it's like sporting goods stores would carry them.
Yeah.
but the handle is stacked leather.
Yeah.
And so it's not the heaviest tang that goes through the knife, but there's like basically the knife is here, and then it narrows down to like a pin that goes all the way into the pommel down here. And then you would stack, you know, a disc of leather on top of each other, and you put it together, and then you grind it down into a handle. This knife I've had since the early 1980s, and it is my favorite gutting knife for deer. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
It has a nice sharp tip to it when it comes to poking things. It has a belly, you know, for cutting without, like, you know, damaging things too quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas a blade like this would be a no-no for skinning, because you would cut through the skin super fast.
Yeah.
You get so much more leverage at the tip, where here you kind of roll the knife.
Well, and this one like has kind of a dull tip to it.
Yeah.
And that was the intention.
Oh, okay.
That one wasn't, that's not an accident that it's like that.
Yeah.
This was a one to work on a farm. And so it's more for cutting bales and cutting little things and stuff.
Gotcha.
But that was intentional on that one.
But just stuff like this, like, to me, the hand, I love the blade. And for me, the blade is the functional part. And there's artwork that goes into it too. But the handle, there's something about the handle that's like the signature of the knife maker. You know? And you can find these like on collectors. This is a Western, and there's a number L60 USA. This is a USA made knife, L60. And I love the patina. So for me, I don't really care. I'm going to show your knife that you made for me. I don't care that the shine is leaving this knife.
Yeah.
I almost prefer the patina, because if this is going to be a Scandinavian kind of a high user knife, the patina is just so cool when it just naturally happens over time.
Yep. Yep. Well, and we introduced some patina to that, so it wasn't just a shiny from the get-go.
Right. Right.
And that protects them a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap. You got some things you want to share?
One of the things we do, so I laser etch these. I put my maker's mark on them with a laser, and I also put like this one says, "Love Mom and Clay." This is a gift that's for somebody. So we put things on. This is also, you can see, this might be a touchy subject for you, but this is a Green Bay Packers knife. So it has the Green Bay pin.
I was getting nauseous. Hold on.
Yeah. But that's one of the things.
Yeah.
And like this, it was interesting. So there's different pins that I put in these knives. People want custom stuff and everything. The G wouldn't work going all the way through.
Shocker.
Because it'd be backwards if it was on the other side. So I had to do that as an inlay on there. But, you know, we do
great looking knife though.
Different stuff like that. Well, and if it's, you know,
all things considered,
you could do a Vikings one, you could do whatever. But part of what we do too is etching stuff. And so we have a lot of different stuff that we've etched. We got coins, we got different things. With this one, I've done a lot of these coasters. So these are some different coasters for our business. Yep, this is slate.
Oh, cool.
And it has.
You want me to hold them closer to the camera?
Sure.
Since I got a closer reach. So we got that one. Okay. And then you've got. Is this a photo, or is this just kind of a stock image? That's
a manipulated image that I put together.
Okay.
Of some different stuff with us working on them.
So this is kind of some swag for your company here.
Right. And so, and this one's kind of nice. My kids are enrolled with the Little Shell Tribe, and I do a lot of work with Native folks. And so our Strength Story steel is written in Cree around the outside of that one. It's kind of a fun one, kind of a nod to that heritage, as well as the Irish with the Celtic knot. Those are for you. You take those home with you. So that was.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Those are for you.
Really? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's something we're building. Like, and I did like for this Wu-Tang knife.
That is so cool. Thank you.
I built a stand with it with the little W, and then I built a set of coasters to go with it, because I'd be happy to sell this knife, but I just use it. So it's got different ones with this too.
Want me to hold those up?
Sure. I mean, the only two different ones are these two.
Okay.
But I mean, we do a lot of custom etching stuff too. and that's been kind of fun. Got to do some unique stuff that has been kind of cool for people. Personalizing.
This is good thickness on the slate too.
Yeah, yeah, and we have some.
It's not like drop on the floor it'll survive. It might not, but overall, I think it's not super heavy. It's not really thin.
Yeah, yeah, they're sweet, and I have metal ones too, and leather coasters and keychains and coins and all sorts of stuff that we've done to kind of add. You know, when we did, like I mentioned those Raiders kitchen knives. Also put a set of
Is this one of the coins?
yeah, so that's one of the coins. It's kind of not a great one, but
Yeah, but you get the idea.
yeah. So we have these different coins and different stuff that we have, but we customize those for people too.
Okay.
So
So if people wanted to have, what are they called, challenge coins?
yeah.
If they wanted to have a challenge coin made by you,
Mm-hmm.
maybe specific to a family or business.
Yep.
Maybe the knife. Could you take the image of the knife and transfer it to a coin?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we add to a lot of orders. Put on different things. I'll grab these real quick. There's
Sure.
there were some other, one of the guys really liked the doors, and so I made him some custom doors coasters.
Okay.
There's some different ones of that. So there's all sorts of stuff. This is a little Charles Bukowski quote. You know, there's a lot of different stuff that we end up doing that
Yeah.
is kind of fun, that makes it personal
Sure.
for whoever's getting the gift or part of
So
what we can do.
you could order a knife, get some coasters. I mean, like, there's some fun things you can do with an order. Okay.
Well, and we even did like this year, one of the funnest projects I worked on for Christmas. One of my friends has a record store in Missoula, and his son is 11, and since he was little, he's had this kind of imaginary world. He has names for it. He has a language. He has all this stuff for it, and he had currency for it too. And he had names for the currency and all different stuff and design. So this year for Christmas, we made him coins for his world and stuff. And we put them in nice little leather pouches and stuff. So there's these, coins and stuff that,
Sure.
But it was really fun to take that that imagination and take it into something. We've talked about taking, in a digital world, having analog things is special.
Mm-hmm.
And so having these tactile things that we're building and doing is really kind of fun.
Yeah. And maybe my last comment that I can think of right now anyway is, like, you have kind of three different worlds of knives out there, if I can generalize when it comes to manufacturing. You have the mass production.
Mm-hmm.
You have ultra custom, and it's high-end type custom work. And mass production is, to me, it's like almost disposable. Like, it doesn't work, you go get another one,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've got a number of those knives. I've got a bunch over there that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Civivi and some of those other brands that are out there. And then you get into something like this. Like, this is in between those two worlds of, high-end custom type stuff, but it's usable. I go back to, these are user knives. So this is back into that mass production type thing. Like, they're intended to be used,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the struggle that I have is I have so many of them, I struggle to use them enough.
Right.
Right. But if you only have 2, 3, 4 knives, you're going to use them, especially if you have outdoor interest and things like that, or
Mm-hmm.
utility type or construction type work too. So, but that's what I notice about this, is that these aren't shelf queens. These aren't mass produced.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're tough as nails. They're designed to be used. And I'm just curious as to what these knives are going to look like 10 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're used a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
go back to this this knife that I've used for hunting for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Since I started hunting, I've been using this knife.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am as a guy in his 50s, like looking at this knife, like there are so many things I've done with this knife. And I've even used this when I was doing lawn work in Minnesota, cutting sod and things like that, because I didn't have many knives.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll use this knife. It's a beater knife. It was like a $15 knife or a $12 knife,
Mm-hmm.
at Holiday gas station or Holiday Sporting Goods in Minnesota. But now I look at this as like, this knife is a part of me. And my boys have mentioned this before too. And I gave a watch to my youngest son, and it was a Casio Pathfinder. It's the watch I had for over 20 years. And I gave it to my youngest son, like, here, have this watch, because I went and got a different watch, and I wanted to update it, and my second oldest son, Noah, he says, Dad, that's the watch we've always seen you, because I wore it all the time, 24/7. I showered
Mm-hmm.
with it. I never took it off. It was solar powered. It had everything, a compass, all the stuff. Because of an incident when I was in college, I got lost on property that I had been on for decades. I got turned around. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I will never get lost again. So I got a watch with a compass on it. It's a digital compass built into the watch. But anyway, my second oldest son, Noah, he's like, Dad, that's the watch we've always seen you wear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's you,
Mm-hmm.
So some of these knives, I'm putting this out there for those that might be interested in this. This could be one of those knives where it's like a long-term, I use it over and over and over again. When I go hunting, I grab this knife.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine if my boys are watching this, they're going to say, oh yeah, we have seen that knife the entire time we've been alive, because I've had this before they were born. So that's the kind of story I have with my longest tenured knife.
Mm-hmm.
Is a fixed blade, and it's been with me for 40 years. And honestly, how much grinding have I done on it? There's the grinding choil on there. You got a lot of life left on there.
Yep.
So this knife will outlast me.
Yeah.
And one of my boys, when I'm dead and gone, and if they want to fight over it, they can wrestle or whatever. But I really hope that something like this stays in the family. I've got 3 guns from my dad. He passed away in March. I've got a lever action 30-30, a 16 gauge break action, and actually I've got 4. And I've got a 22 that's just a single shot 22 that I learned how to shoot on. And I've got one gun that is a legend, and we call it the Flying Dutchman. It's a Dutch Beaumont Vitale from 1876. And my great uncle brought that over from Sweden. It's a black powder cartridge, and I just got some cartridges. Have you shot it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just got some cartridges, $100 a box, $110 a box, or 105, something like that.
Yeah.
So I got 2 boxes. Like, that's it for the next 10 years.
Right.
But again, patina all over the gun. The stock is kind of coming off, but it has a value to it. So looking at these knives, Bob, I share your information for people to contact you, because I think you've got like some legacy type opportunities for people who are looking at knives. And I'll have this, when this goes up, I'll go back and change the description, add your whatever contact info in there.
Sure.
So people can get to you quick. But what are the fast places to find you? Website address, if you want to say it out loud for
we've
now.
got, you can go to O'Boyle Steelworks on Instagram and Facebook. We have a Patreon page.
Is O'Boyle with the apostrophe, or is it just OB?
Yep, with the apostrophe. O''BOYLE Steelworks. And yeah, it's on Instagram and Facebook and Patreon. And you can find us on any of those. Those are easy ways. We get messages on there and stuff all the time. And yeah, once we get going, then we just work with you and we get it all figured out.
Do you want to share a phone number or no?
Probably not.
Okay.
I get enough junk calls. And I think anyway,
Right.
If you message me on one of those, I'm happy to give you my phone number.
Is the knife that you sold to the family in Poland, is that going to be posted on Instagram?
Yeah.
That story you shared?
Today, I one of the things I'm really conscious to is people's privacy and people's, one of the things for Christmas, some of the funnest, best, most exciting knives I made, I couldn't share because there were surprises for people.
Oh.
And so there's going to be some cool knives that I'm going to be posting here over the next couple weeks that were ones that,
Cool.
but I talk to them ahead
Cool.
of time, and I make sure I say, hey, is this okay? Is this that? Because it is theirs, and I want them to, it's their story. It's not just my story with building the knife. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say this for those of you out there that are watching this either live or later on. This guy's starting up a business. We all know how hard it is to start up a business.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a quality knife and are willing to pay the price, it's going to one person only. It's not going to a corporation. It's not going to, some bigger companies that are out there. And there's some great companies out there. Montana Knife Works, or
Right.
Montana
There's some
Knife
really
Company,
good.
MKC, great. They're Missoula based. They started small. Everybody starts somewhere, and this is where Bob's starting. So I just really encourage, if you're looking for that kind of a legacy type hand-me-down knife, this is one place to check out. So
Yeah,
check it out. Anything else you want to add?
No. It just I appreciate this. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate being able to share this and share it with the folks there. And if anybody's interested, even if you're just interested in hearing about the process or whatever, you can follow us. We post different stuff about forging and this and that, and we do some giveaways. Sometimes we do some different stuff, and so just check us out, and thanks so much, Tim.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and thanks for the comments that are out there right now. I'm sure a few more comments will show up too when it's posted after the live show is ended here in just a few seconds. So thank you all for waiting and watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.
All right. There he goes, getting close.